You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Getting younger voters involved in the process of democracy is an age-old problem in Arkansas and the United States, but my next guests are working on solutions. Joining me now are Kathy Webb from Get Loud, Arkansas, and Salma Eid, also from Get Loud, Arkansas. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. You are a senior in high school at Central?
At Pulaski Academy.
Pulaski Academy.
Yes.
All right. And you are a senior. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Roby.
I'm joking. Let's talk a little bit about, Salma, you have been doing a lot of work on this front in terms of how to get more youth involved in what's going on. So tell me what you think the problems are. What are the obstacles to getting more young people involved?
I think one of the biggest problems is that there's a lack of civic education within schools. A lot of kids are not trained to be active participants in democracy, and therefore they don't understand the importance of participating in systems. And I think there's also a lot of systemic barriers within Arkansas, like there's no same-day voting registration. I think a lot of those obstacles ultimately discourage youth from participating in systems and therefore lower youth voter rates.
I've got kids that are about your age, and so we talk a lot about politics in our house. I know this is going to be a shock to everyone here, and they do express a lot of opinions, sometimes in conjunction with their father and sometimes in opposition to their father, which is fine. Why do you think they don't feel like participation can make a difference?
I think a lot of people, a lot of youth specifically, are not taught how their vote actually does matter. You hear it a lot that every vote matters, but not exactly how voting will affect them in the long run. Therefore, they don't feel incentivized to go out and do it. And I think that eventually builds up and they feel discouraged and they feel like if they do vote, it won't actually affect them in the future.
Yeah, you probably hear that on the campaign trail too. You're a city director and former state representative as well, Kathy, but what have you observed in terms of barriers to participation and this attitude that Salma has expressed about people not feeling like their vote counts or matters?
Last week I had the opportunity to be at UA Little Rock, and I was at the School of Business. And I would talk to some of the students, what's your major? And somebody might say real estate, and somebody else would say construction. And then we got into these conversations about, do you know what the Planning Commission does, or what the Planning Commission is, or the Board of Adjustment? And so we started talking about the ways that their particular field would be impacted by local politics. And those students then decided, hey, I want to register to vote because, yeah, that impacts me directly. And I think most people just are not aware of that direct impact. And if it's a sidewalk or a drainage issue or a zoning issue that somebody's going to make, if you're going into real estate, I think it's that education that Salma talked about that we don't do a good enough job with statewide.
Yeah, I know when I've spoken to high school classes before, I sometimes go in during legislative sessions, and I always go pull some bills that affect requirements for graduating from high school or getting your driver's license, and things like that. And you put that on the table and you say, do you think this is a good bill? Or this is terrible. I don't want to wait till I'm 18 to be able to drive. I'm like, well, that's a bill they're debating in the legislature. And I think that's a way to kind of make it hit home sometimes. Is that things like that are what I think need to happen to get more people understanding these decisions being made by elected officials impact your life. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I definitely agree with that. A lot of times when you make it personal for youth, they connect with it and they realize, oh, that will affect me, and therefore they're more inclined to go out and vote. So I think making those stories and those connections is critical.
So what can be done, what are you guys doing through Get Loud that is, I guess, trying to educate a little bit more, and really it's about voter registration and then participation. You got to get registered first to be able to participate. What are some things that you guys are doing just in terms of programming to make that happen?
Do you want to talk about a couple of the things you did this summer?
Sure. So a lot of it is just going out to events and tabling and making voter registration forms available and simple. A lot of people just need to be walked through the process and realize that it's not as intimidating as it seems. And also throughout the research that I've done, I think bringing awareness to the issue is a big step forward in realizing that more people do need to get registered to vote, and it is simple and very important.
Is it easy enough to just have that conversation with someone and you can change their attitude about it, or does it still require, I guess, more legwork, more effort, more activity to get their mindset changed?
It really depends on the person and their experiences and their background. I've had people ecstatic to vote who have just been waiting on the opportunity. I've had people that are really reluctant, and whether that's because they, have a bad maybe memories of voting or whatever it might be, they just need someone to kind of break that barrier for them and break it down and realize that it's a very important step and a simple one at that.
You do a lot on voter registration. I think you lead classes. I mean, you go out and actually put groups together to do more of that. What kind of feedback are you getting? Now, do you sense that there's more people wanting to get involved because of the way our politics are right now, or you just think you're tapping into people that have just been disenfranchised and are just now engaging in the system?
I think it's some of both. I mean, we see some disengagement, and then we see some people who are really wanting to get involved. And one of the things you mentioned that I want to go back to is we spoke to groups of young people during the summer, and one of the bills we pulled out was the cell phone bill.
Oh, yeah.
And so just like you mentioned with a couple of bills that you talked about, they're like, oh yeah, that does have a direct impact on me, and I don't like that, or I do like that. And then really getting them engaged, well, like, you're going to be 18 by the next election. You could register to vote today. And then that kind of gets them going. So having those conversations with young people, what matters to you? And then getting that feedback and saying, well, there was a bill at the city council meeting, or there was a bill at the school board meeting, or an issue at the school board. It's like, oh, and seeing that light go off is pretty exciting when it goes off with a young person.
Do they go to some of those meetings and then give you some feedback on their experiences? Have you had that conversation with some folks?
We had one instance where we went and talked to some middle schoolers, and we did a reflection form after, so we reflected on the event. But you can kind of see it in the moment, the click where they realize, oh, I really do actually care about this. And a lot of times that is really ignited when you say, if you don't vote, you can't complain. Yeah. Because a lot of young people, that really resonates with them. They want to complain, and so why not vote and have that reason too?
Kathy sits on the city board. She knows that you don't have to vote to come complain. They'll still show up and complain, won't they?
Yes, yes, they will.
All right, Get Loud Arkansas is the organization. They do a lot of things, but voter registration and voter education is a big part of it. Thank you both for being here, Salma, Kathy. I appreciate you.
Thank you
so much.
We're back with more right after this word from our sponsors.